My mom secretly stole my college fund and gave it to my brother for his wedding. The day I got my college acceptance letter was one of the proudest moments of my life. I remember holding the envelope in my hands, heart pounding, palms sweating, staring at the bold red stamp that said, "Welcome to the University of Chicago." I screamed. I literally screamed. My dad was at work, but my mom came rushing into the kitchen thinking I'd hurt myself or something. When she saw the letter, she teared up. "Baby, I'm so proud of you," she whispered, pulling me into a hug. I'd worked for this. Every weekend spent at the library, every late night fueled by caffeine and anxiety, every moment I said no to fun, because I wanted this future. And it was finally happening. I had my dream school, and thankfully, the funding to make it real. My dad had always promised that my college fund was secure. "Started it the day you were born," he told me more than once. "You won't need loans. You'll go wherever you want." It felt like a weight had lifted off my shoulders. That was until things started getting weird. It began subtly, little shifts in my mom's tone, side eyes, during conversations about dorms, school shopping delays, and sudden tight-lipped silences when I brought up tuition deadlines. I chalked it up to nerves. Maybe she was just emotional about me leaving. Then came the big bomb. It was a Tuesday evening. Dad was working late. My mom was making dinner while texting furiously on her phone. My brother Noah had come over with his fiancée Rachel. They were giddy, talking about venues, flower arrangements, and DJs. I didn't pay much attention. Weddings weren't really my thing, until Rachel said, "We're just so grateful for your help. I don't know how we could have afforded this without you guys." I looked up. "What help?" I asked. My mom glanced at Noah. His smile faded. Rachel hesitated. "Oh, I thought you knew." "Knew what?" I pressed. My mom put her phone down and wiped her hands on a towel. "Sweetheart, we were going to tell you. We just hadn't found the right time." "Tell me what?" My mom sighed, like she was the one being burdened. "We gave part of your college fund to Noah. Just a portion, honey, for the wedding. They really needed it." The room spun. I blinked. "You... what?" "It's not all gone," she said quickly. "You can still go to school, just maybe not Chicago, somewhere more affordable, closer to home, maybe. A state school." I stood up, heart racing. "You used my college fund, the one Dad saved for me? You gave it to Noah for his wedding?" Noah raised his hands like he wanted to play peacemaker. "Look, man, I didn't know it was your fund, okay? Mom said it was family money. She said it was just sitting there. It was sitting there because it was for me." My mom snapped. "Don't raise your voice at me. I'm still your mother." I was speechless. I walked out. That night, I didn't sleep. I just stared at the acceptance letter on my desk, reading it over and over again. Like maybe if I read it enough times, it would give me a solution, something other than the sick feeling curling in my stomach. The next day, I confronted my dad. He was livid. "You what?" he asked my mom, pacing the living room, fists clenched. "I did what I thought was right," she said coldly. "Noah's starting a family. He needed help." "You stole from our son," he shouted. "I didn't steal. I used what was ours to help our son." The living room felt like a war zone. My dad stood on one side, eyes burning with fury, while my mom stood her ground, like she hadn't just detonated the foundation of my future. I was stuck in the middle, caught in the crossfire of two people I loved more than anything, and who had just made me feel like I didn't matter. "You had no right," Dad growled. "That money was for his education. It wasn't yours to touch." "It was sitting there for years," my mom snapped. "We didn't even know if he'd get into college." "She got into one of the best universities in the country," he fired back. "And now he might not even get to go." I felt like I was shrinking into myself. Watching them argue didn't fix anything. It just made the betrayal heavier. The silence after that fight hung over the house for days. My dad barely spoke to her. I couldn't even look at her. And Noah? He had the audacity to act like nothing had happened. He texted me later that week. "Noah, hey, I know things are tense, but I really hope you'll come to the wedding." I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the reply box, but I couldn't bring myself to type anything. What was I supposed to say? "Sure, I'll come watch you celebrate with money meant for my dreams." He followed up the next day. "Noah, please don't make this a big deal. It's already done. We're family. We're family." Those two words felt like acid. A week later, I sat down with my dad in the garage. He'd always found comfort out there, surrounded by tools and silence. I didn't beat around the bush. "I can't go," I said. He didn't even look up from the wrench in his hand. "To the wedding?" I nodded. He nodded back slowly. "I understand. I can't pretend it's okay." He finally looked up. "It's not okay, and I didn't agree to it." "Can we fix it?" I asked. "Can we get the money back?" He hesitated. Your mom took out most of it, $25,000. She wrote a check directly to Noah. I didn't even see it happen. Is there anything left? Maybe enough for 1 semester, 2, if you live at home? I leaned back in the old wooden chair and stared at the ceiling. It was like someone had stolen the floor from under me, and now I was just floating, untethered. I don't want to live at home, I whispered. I know. We sat in silence. Then he said something I didn't expect. I can take out a loan. I looked at him, shocked. What? For school. It's not ideal, but I'd rather take the hit than let this stop you. Dad, no, that's not fair to you. Neither is what happened, but I'm not letting you give up because someone else made a selfish choice. I didn't cry, but I felt like I could have. For the first time since the blow-up, I didn't feel completely alone. We spent the next few days researching aid options, scholarships I hadn't applied for, emergency grants. My dad reached out to the university's financial office. I didn't even know he knew how to email, but he was relentless. I saw him fight for me in a way I never expected. And while he was fighting, my mom stayed quiet. No apology, no explanation, just silence. Until the wedding day. That morning she knocked on my door and opened it without waiting. You're really not coming? She asked. No. She looked at me like I'd betrayed her. People will ask where you are. Tell them I'm studying, for the future you gave away. She flinched, just slightly, then closed the door, and I sat alone, watching the time pass, thinking about everything I'd lost, and everything I still had to fight for. While the rest of my family posed in matching suits and pastel dresses for Instagram-perfect photos, I sat at my desk, staring at a spreadsheet of scholarship deadlines and financial aid portals. The wedding hashtag was trending among our relatives. Noah and Rachel tie the knot. Because of course they needed a hashtag for a wedding funded with money stolen from me. I didn't look at the photos. I couldn't. But I saw the notifications pop up on my phone. Smiling faces, champagne toasts, floral arches, Noah beaming like he'd earned every bit of it. My mom, she looked radiant in the photos, like nothing was wrong. Meanwhile, I hadn't even eaten all day. Dad checked in around 6 p.m. You okay? He asked, leaning into my room. I nodded, though the truth was more complicated. I was angry, hurt, embarrassed. But most of all, I was exhausted. They look happy, he said carefully. I'm glad someone is. He sat beside me on the bed. Listen, you don't have to forgive her. Not now, maybe not ever. But don't let this ruin your future. That's still in your hands. I stared down at the laptop. I'd applied for 5 emergency scholarships already. The university had emailed me back about a potential grant, but it wouldn't cover everything. Still, I wasn't giving up. That weekend came and went. Noah didn't text. Mom didn't speak to me. I lived in that cold, tense quiet where no one admits anything, but everyone feels everything. The Monday after the wedding, I came home from the library to find a letter on my bed. It was from my mom. I didn't want to open it, but I did. My sweet boy, I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. I won't try to defend what I did. I just want you to understand why. Noah has always struggled. He's made poor choices, and I feared his marriage wouldn't happen without help. I thought I was doing what a mother should, supporting her child in a time of need. But I see now that I failed you in doing that. You are strong, focused, and independent. I thought you'd land on your feet no matter what. Maybe I leaned on that too much. I didn't believe you needed the help as much as your brother did, and that was wrong. I didn't ask your permission, and I didn't include your father. I made a decision that hurt you deeply. For that, I am truly sorry. Please, know this. It was never about choosing him over you. I was just trying to hold our family together, but now I realize I broke it instead. Love, Mom. I read it twice. 3 times. It didn't undo the damage. It didn't refund the money. But for the first time since the betrayal, I saw something I hadn't expected. Regret. She wasn't just justifying herself. She was admitting it was wrong. Still, a letter wasn't a fix. It was a bandage over a bullet wound. I folded it neatly and slid it into my desk drawer. 2 days later, she knocked on my door again. I applied for a loan, she said quietly. I turned around. What? For you. I'm going to pay back what I took. It'll take time, but it's yours. It always was. It didn't erase the betrayal, but it was a start. I nodded once, saying nothing. And even though we didn't hug, didn't cry, didn't make some grand scene, I think we both knew something had shifted. And maybe, just maybe, things weren't beyond repair. My mom didn't say much after that. She just left the room with this look in her eyes, like she'd aged 5 years in 5 minutes. I sat there, still processing what she'd said. She'd taken out a loan in her name. to pay me back. It didn't make everything okay, but it was more than I expected. And I wasn't naive. I knew it wouldn't be quick. She wasn't exactly rolling in money. She worked part-time at a clinic, and my dad handled most of the bills. But even the idea that she wanted to repair it meant something. My dad, on the other hand, was still furious. She didn't talk to me. Not once. I was your father, not some background noise. I could see it all over his face. Disappointment, betrayal, guilt. He blamed himself, like he should have watched the account more closely, like he should have seen it coming. But I never blamed him. Not really. He was blindsided too. The real surprise came when Noah texted me a week later. "Noah, can we talk?" I ignored it. Then he showed up. He knocked on my door like we were still brothers who talked on a normal basis. I opened it halfway, not really sure if I was going to let him in. "You look tired," he said. "You look married," I shot back. He sighed. "Okay, fair." I let the door swing open. We sat in the kitchen. He looked around like the house had changed in his absence, like the air had gotten colder. "Listen," he started. "I didn't know the money was yours." I really didn't. "She told you it was family money. You didn't ask where it came from?" "No. I just thought, Mom always figures stuff out." I wanted to scream. "Yeah, she figured it out by ripping apart my future. I get it now," he said quietly. "And I'm sorry. Rachel and I had this big wedding, and you're left scrambling for tuition. It's not right." "No, it's not." He reached into his coat pocket and slid an envelope across the table. "What is this?" $2,000. It's not much, but we're trying to save. I told Rachel we're cutting our honeymoon short." I stared at it. "You should have thought of that before the wedding." "I know. I'm not asking for a pat on the back. Just, I want to do my part." It wasn't the amount that mattered. It was the gesture. The first time in this whole mess that my brother actually took some accountability. I took the envelope. Didn't say thank you. Just nodded. He left after that, and for the first time since the whole thing exploded, I didn't feel like tearing everything down. School was still going to be tight. Between the partial grants, my dad's last-minute scramble for aid, and now my mom's loan and Noah's envelope, I could just barely cover the first year. I'd need to work through college, maybe summer classes, maybe part-time jobs, maybe sacrifice a few social events here and there. But I was going. And I wasn't just going. I was earning every single day I spent there. When I got the official tuition breakdown from the university, I sat at the table with both my parents. "Are you sure about this?" my dad asked. "It's going to be a hard 4 years." I looked at them, my dad with bags under his eyes from stress, my mom nervously twisting her fingers, and even my brother's envelope still on the counter. "I'm sure," I said, because this wasn't just about a college degree anymore. This was about proving that no one, not even the people closest to me, could write my future, but me. College wasn't a dream anymore. It was a fight. I arrived on campus in a second-hand car with a dent in the side and a backpack full of every cheap textbook I could find online. I had a part-time job lined up at the library and another gig on weekends, washing dishes at a diner 2 blocks from my dorm. My roommate Mason was this loud, always hyped film major who listened to lo-fi beats and thought ramen was a personality. We didn't click at first, but he minded his own business, and that was good enough for me. The first month was brutal. I'd wake up at 6, read until my shift, rush to class, then study in the back of the diner on my breaks. There wasn't time for parties or hanging out in the quad with a frisbee. But slowly, I started getting into the rhythm. And despite the mess I left behind at home, something unexpected started growing in me. Peace. I started to feel proud. Not bitter, not defeated, just proud. I called my dad every Sunday night. It became our thing. He'd tell me about Mom, how she was making her payments, how she'd stopped avoiding him in the kitchen. She even picked up a second job 2 evenings a week. I didn't talk to her yet, not directly, but I heard her voice in the background sometimes, laughing faintly, telling my dad to ask if I needed any more notebooks. And as much as I told myself I'd never forgive her, there was something in that effort, that slow, deliberate work she was doing, that softened a piece of me. Noah texted me occasionally too. He sent updates. "Got another 100 for you, dropping it with Dad. Sold the espresso machine. Here's $250. He and Rachel had moved into a modest 1-bedroom and canceled their gym memberships. It wasn't restitution, but it was something. Midway through the semester, I was walking back from the diner when I passed a wedding reception on campus, just outside the chapel, a small, cozy one. Fairy lights in the trees, people dancing barefoot on the grass. And I remember stopping, just standing there, watching strangers toast and laugh and hug like they were invincible. And I didn't feel jealousy. I didn't feel anger. I felt okay, because I wasn't part of that world, and maybe I didn't need to be. I was building something different, something mine, a future with sharp edges and bruises and pride stitched into the seams. At the end of my first year, I made the dean's list. I printed the letter and mailed it home. No note, no caption, just the letter. The next week, I got a card from my mom. No fancy words, no long speech. Just, you did this. You. I'm proud of the man you're becoming. I'm sorry I lost sight of him before he even got his chance. Mom. I stared at those words for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't tear the card up, either. I put it in my drawer, right next to my student ID and the first pay stub I ever earned. My story didn't end with betrayal. It began there, sure, but it didn't end there. It ended here, with me, standing on a cracked sidewalk under a flickering street lamp, heading back to a room I paid for, to study for an exam I earned the right to take, building a life with blood, sweat, and grit. This was my college fund now, and every single cent came from the only person who would never let me down again. Me.